Yeah, it flew by.
It's almost like a tease a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, 72 hours felt like about 12.
What's the biggest point of emphasis for you all going into this game on Sunday?
Find a way to get one. Just try to make the plays down the stretch. Got to find a way.
Do you think that having a couple of days off to kind of reset and the fact that you guys have the bye coming right after this game, like it could really help make it just focused on like just winning this one game?
It's got to be like that from here on out. We got to get this one. It's a big one, prime time. So I'm always excited to showcase what we can do in that situation, and we know we got to go win it.
Why are mini buys and full bye weeks so important in the NFL?
You start to get banged up by this time of the year. Everybody's dealing with a little something here, a little something there, and so those 3 days to a week really helps you for this final stretch. These last 6-7 games.
You all have in the past been good after 5 weeks, over 5 weeks throughout the course of the regular season. What is it about you guys as a team that's allowed you to do that?
I don't know. I think that's how it should be. Yeah, you got 2 weeks to prepare for somebody, and a little extra 3 days in this situation, and you got extra time to get your body right. So that's how it's supposed to be.
Zach said you were dealing with soreness coming out of that game on Thursday. How are you feeling now?
Feel great. After about 24 hours, I was back to normal.
You mentioned after the game that you don't normally get those calls, potential running passer calls. Why do you think that is? Did you notice those hits even longer than watching them?
I don't know why that is. I'm sure everybody feels that way to some degree. I don't think I think there was one that absolutely should have been called, but other than that, I don't think there were any that I was super upset about. There was just one. Yeah.
What does that look like on the back end? You go as Zach to lobby the league, you lobby the league. How does that work?
I don't pay attention to that. I don't think you can. I'm not going to be the guy to argue with refs about calls through the whole game. Gets me out of my thought process and my zone that I'm in, so I don't think that's my job.
When you looked at the tape, I know there were plays after the game you said, I wish I had back. When you looked at the tape, what did you think about your thought process making those plays?
Yeah, obviously a lot of great that I was really happy with, but just like any game, there's 4 or 5 that you wish you had back, and so those are the ones that I'm going to focus on to try to find a way to put ourselves in a better position in those spots.
Your logic of not wanting to yell at the officials, is that because you want to stay here the whole time? Is that part of it? You don't want to get too high, too low, anything like that?
Yeah, and there's not a ton of time in between plays. You want to get your mindset on the situation. What's the call going to be? What's the personnel? What am I expecting from the defense in this situation? There's not, I don't want to waste 5 seconds complaining to the ref about a call that I didn't get, and then have to flip my mindset back into where it's supposed to be. It's a waste of time.
How similar are the two defenses you used to play Baltimore? Now you got the Chargers, the coaching, some common denominators there. How similar do the looks, do you think?
Yeah, similar structures. I haven't gotten into third down yet, but base downs, similar to how Baltimore played us.
Is there a reason you as a quarterback have a process like that when you say you haven't gotten into third down? Is there a reason you have to go, I don't know what your process is, but you don't do it like all at once on your day off on Tuesday?
Yeah, that's just how the week works out. I watch games early in the week just to get a feel for how they like to call things in certain situations against certain teams and players that they might call it differently. And then Thursday is really the day that we're focused on third down. So I've watched third downs, but Thursday's the day that you really focus on those and see what they like to call in different down and distances and different personnel groupings, and then You do the same thing for red zone on Friday.
Zach mentioned that y'all are gonna go a day early, out to LA. What are your thoughts on kind of getting out there a day in advance?
Yeah, I think that'll be great for team building. You know, bring these young guys along into the culture, have some dinner with guys. I think that's important.
Is that something that Zach talked to you about before y'all, did you have any input in how that went down, or kind of let you know what happened?
That's something we talked about in the off season. If this game fell in this kind of 3-week time frame, you know, right before halfway through the season, basically. You know, we did that in New England a couple of years ago. I think guys really liked it. You know, guys went to lunch, and I think that brought us closer together, and I think that's important for a team. And so the fact that we're doing that, I think, will be good for us.
Do you think you go out together as a team, or would you just certain groups maybe you want to hook up with? Or
Yeah, you're not going to go to dinner with 25 guys, but you know, maybe do a lunch on Saturday, dinner on Friday with different groups of guys. Try to do it that way.
You still overall comfortable, you know, with taking the number of hits you have taken, the trade-off with that versus letting a play develop downfield, knowing that sometimes you're just going to have to take those hits regardless of the protection?
Yeah, I think, you know, I do a great job of getting the ball out quickly when I have to, but there's certain situations and certain games that you're going to have to hang in there and make plays and run around and hold the ball, you know, a little longer, trying to make those plays down the field. Baltimore is one of those teams that you have to do that against, knowing who they have on the other side. You know, if it's there early, you know, I'm going to take it, but when we're pushing the ball down the field, if I feel like I can you get out and try to make a play, then that's what I'm going to do. You know, I think we're at that point in the season where that's needed. You know, that might be a little different mindset first 5 games, but, you know, where we are right now, I think that's how I'm going to have to play it.
What do you think about Jim Harbaugh? I mean, I don't know if you met him at this point in your career, like at any stop, but what do you think about the job he's done, whether it be at Michigan or what he's doing with the Chargers right now?
Yeah, I talked to him. He recruited me a little bit out of high school, so I have kind of a relationship with him 10 years ago, I guess. But he seems to win everywhere he goes. He's an intense guy that seems like guys like to play for, so credit to him for the job that he's done everywhere he's went.
Yeah, Michigan wasn't a school that you wanted to go to. He said he recruited you.
Well, here was my thought process. He had just got the job at Michigan that January after that season. I had been committed to Ohio State for, you know, 5 or 6 months at that point. So I think Coach was trying to make a big splash, trying to flip the Ohio State quarterback commit. I'm not entirely sure he knew exactly who I was or what I could do at that point. I think he was just trying to make a little splash there.
They are not turning it over, Jim. They are not turning it over this year. How does that affect your mindset going into the game?
It doesn't. You know, they're really good at that. Our possessions will probably be limited, just like, you know, we played the old Baltimore teams. They're going to run the ball well, get into manageable third downs. They're not going to turn it over. They're going to keep everything in front on defense and try to shorten the game. So we have to find ways to take our opportunities down the field, but, you know, score on as many possessions as we can.
I don't know if you view it this way, Joe. Do you feel like this team is still searching for a turning point, a big moment of the season where things begin to shift the other way for you?
We're just trying to find wins at this point. You know, you'd like 1 to turn into 2 to turn into 3, but the only way you can do that is to focus on the day-to-day, and so that's what we're going to do.
Hypothetically, when you were coming out of Ohio State, had he made a run at you again out of the, you know, as a grad transfer, was that something you would seriously consider?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. The transfer portal wasn't a thing when I was transferring yet, and so technically, Ohio State could still block me from conference schools. Yes, I believe so, because I think they did.
What do you mean you think they did? Like they blocked you from going anywhere?
Yeah, at least they told me that they did within conference. I don't know. I guess I don't know if it was. I don't remember the rules exactly at that time, but yeah, that happened.
Are you glad that guys that's not a thing anymore with conferences can block players from transferring if they fulfilled their obligation at university?
Yeah, I mean, I would have who knows how many guys 10 years ago were in the same spot I was in that didn't get their opportunity to go and make a name for themselves, and I'm happy that I did, and it worked out that way for me, and I was able to graduate in 3 years to go and do it. But I wouldn't have been able to go and do that if I didn't graduate in 3 years, and I know a lot of guys aren't that forward thinking to be in that spot. So who knows how many guys graduated in 4.5 years and didn't have that 5th year to go somewhere, and didn't have their opportunity to go and make a name for themselves.
Do you keep tabs on?
Go ahead.
Do you keep tabs
At the same time, both of you, go.
I can't do it, I stutter, I give up. Do you keep tabs on Herbert? You guys seem to be locked statistically. Ever since you came out, you guys are always 1-2 or 2-3 or whatever. Do you keep tabs on him? What do you think of his game?
Yeah, I think Justin's great. He's got one of the strongest arms in the league. He plays football the right way. He can run around and make plays when he needs to. Big, strong guy that can make plays with his legs too, and tough guy that's going to stand there and take hits. So I've always had a ton of respect for him.
Do you know him at all?
We got to know each other a little bit at the Combine. He's fun to be around. I liked his personality. I think we'd be friends in if we ever spent time together. That's not really where we're at, but I always liked him.
Joe, have you seen Jamar's target route chart from the Baltimore game?
Mm-hmm.
Can I show it to you?
Sure.
Yeah. What's that look like to you? All of those.
We're moving him around.
Yeah.
I think that's a credit to him, how smart he's been this year, understanding when he's in the slot, when he's in a stack, when he's outside, when he's in the backfield. And a credit to our coaching staff for coming up with all these different ways to find ways to get him the ball. I think he's really taken a step this year as far as understanding zone coverage, understanding what his job is in all these different little details on these routes. I think he's just continuing to get better, as crazy as that sounds.
Is that kind of the perfect example of what a masterpiece of how Jamar can be used should look like, that maybe you guys have been building towards, really maybe even since you've ever been playing with them, as games that look like that chart a little bit?
Yeah, that's when teams want to try to take him. If we're doing that and moving him around, teams can't take him away. Just finding ways to get him the ball in so many different situations, and when we're moving around like that, teams can't just focus in on him and say we're going to cloud this side, we're going to double him in when we play man. You just always got to be aware for where he's at, and our coaches and Jamar are doing a great job of doing that.
How does that Jamar retro work? Zach was telling us you kind of was almost kind of made up in the dirt a little bit. How does that work in terms of it coming to you, you realizing what it is, and then translating it to Jamar to pull off that play in that moment?
Yeah, it was a great call based on what we had been getting on that 2-minute drive. And Jamar, when he gets contacted, he's so strong, he's going to pull out of it, whether he gets held or not. And that's a base play that we've repped that maybe wasn't in the game plan, but you can pull out at any moment, and that's what you have to do if you want to be a great offense or a great player. Not everything you call is going to be on the call sheet for that week, or even repped that week in practice. You might see the way a team is playing you and pull from something that you guys ran 3 or 4 weeks ago, and you're like, hey, that's good, let's bring it up. So credit to our staff for that.
So why do you think you guys have been able to access the intermediate deep middle with Jamar so much more effectively this year? It seems like that's been a big area that you guys have found a ton of success in that wasn't necessarily a big part of it for the last couple of years.
I think the protection, number one. We've found a lot of we're not just a 6-man protection drop back team right now. We're our offensive line is giving us a lot of ways to move the pocket, extend the drop a little bit, to find ways to maneuver in the pocket and buy me a little more time so we can push the ball down the field in those situations. So I think that's credit to our offensive line.
This will be the first time you're back in SoFi since the Super Bowl. What do you expect that to feel like, if anything, when you go back in there?
I guess I hadn't really thought about it. I don't know. I hope it doesn't feel like anything. Just get ready for this one.
Is there a feeling from that game or that stadium that kind of sticks out that you thought about?
Yeah, that day sucked.
Aside from that, is there any particular feel like, is there anything that really you've thought about with being inside that stadium, not even winning that game, or something that?
I don't think so. I mean, whenever you go to these big cities to play, it's always exciting. I think it's usually in a primetime slot, and when you play in New York, LA, Miami, those are always exciting opportunities for you.
Is it on your radar at all, the Triple Crown, Jamar, and kind of how close he is?
No, I know he's first in just about everything right now, so he's probably on pace to do whatever the Triple Crown is. What does that mean?
Receiving yards, catches, and touchdowns.
Oh, I know he's got a lot of touchdowns and a lot of yards and a lot of catches too, so he's probably on pace to do it.
Do you
He was
hear a lot
saying
from
that-
Jamar about numbers? Like, is he in your ear about any of that?
No, he's not, but when you have a guy like that, if you're not finding ways to get him the ball, then he maybe isn't going to let you know directly, but he'll let you know in his way for sure.
What's his way?
Depends. Sometimes it's on the sideline. Sometimes it's individual conversation in the locker room. Sometimes it's through you guys. There's a lot of different ways that a receiver can tell you, "Hey, get me the fucking ball."
He was saying he's saying Thursday night you guys didn't talk at all during the game.
There wasn't much to say. We were playing well. When we're on the same page like that, it's always fun.
Has he ever said it in those words, give me the effing ball?
I'm not sure he said that directly to me, no, but maybe a glance tells me that.
I mean, staying on the conversation about Jamar, he told us a couple weeks ago that he doesn't even really have to watch what he eats. Maybe he said he takes care of his body, but he said he's one of those people that can basically eat whatever he wants, be the freak he is on the field. Of all of the really good receivers that you played with in your career, is he the biggest freak in that way where he can not have to do the things that you and probably everybody else has to do, but can go be the best receiver in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely. It's very rare what he can do. I would say I'm not sure I've been around a ton of receivers that are super dialed on their diet, I would say. That might have to change in about 5 years if he wants to keep playing. But, when you're 23, 24, eat what you want and go out and run 22 miles an hour and have 200 and however many yards he had. He'll continue to do it until he doesn't need to anymore.
He said when
Joe, how many times have you said fuck in a press conference?
That might be the first one. Sorry, guys.
I know T might not have been all that involved in practice today, but to see him out there in cleats running around, catching some balls, what's that like for you?
Yeah, it's always nice to have T's presence out there. He's usually a high-energy guy that you like being around, and everybody knows what he can do on the field. So whenever T's in that huddle, it feels a little different. He brings energy, and it's exciting to have him back out there.
Samash said when he left, he knew his responsibility was going to have to grow. He wanted it to grow. How much of TP's stuff is he maybe getting that he would have looked at TV to?
Yeah, I would say a good portion. He's really taken strides working in the slot this year on choice routes, feeling zone coverage. He's really taken ownership of that, and that's exciting to see because that just adds another element to his game.
Did he say anything to you after the 2-point? Knowing that he...
No, I mean we talked about it. We've all had discussions about what we would have done differently in that situation, so we've had positive discussions about that. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joe.